Hello and welcome to the BAM Cam podcast with your host, Jack Burnett. That is the BAM, and Alison Castellano. That is the Cam, but we have Adrian Castellano. So that is who we have with us today, Adrian and Alison. So thank you for being here. I'm Wendy McConnell, by the way. That was a lot of names.
Today we're just the Cam.
There you go.
This is very confusing for me.
Yeah.
It's too early, right? All right.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we going to be talking about today, guys?
All right, Wendy. So for everyone listening, welcome back to the BAM Cam podcast. Today we're covering something that impacts nearly everyone, something that's very important, but not necessarily something that's always fun to talk about. And that's Social Security. Okay. Whether you're in your 20s and barely paying attention to it, or you're in your 60s and deciding exactly when to file, Social Security plays a major role in retirement income planning. Now, the problem is, right, that most people don't get clear guidance until they're right up to retirement. And by then, some decisions are already locked in.
Yeah. So when we first started talking about this podcast and talking about coming here to record it, I thought about a lot of people make this decision because their friend or their family member did something. And, you know, the right decision for you is not always the right decision that your friend made. So having a better understanding of Social Security is always a good thing. But Social Security, we're going to walk through how it affects us at every stage of life. If you're early on in your career, you're probably just fingers crossed hoping that it's going to be around for you when you do reach your retirement age.
Yeah, unfortunately for a lot of folks, there's a lot of guesswork involved in it if they're not working with a financial professional, and they're just crossing their fingers hoping that they're making the right choices. And that's not the best strategy for something that's so important.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about how your benefits are calculated, how you can check your estimated benefit while you're still working, and how claiming decisions like filing early versus waiting can impact your income. And our goal isn't to overwhelm you with rules or jargon. It's just to give you some clarity, some context, and confidence so that you understand how Social Security works and fits into your financial picture.
Exactly. So let's kind of start with the foundation here. Social Security is best thought of as a government-run insurance program, more or less, not a personal investment account. So even though you pay into it through every paycheck, the money you contribute, it's not sitting in an account with your name on it.
It's not your money.
Yeah. So instead, today's workers are funding benefits for today's retirees. In return, you earn the right to receive a future benefit based on your earnings history.
And that benefit will be funded by the workers who are still working while you're retired.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every paycheck, you'll see FICA taxes withheld. For Social Security specifically, you contribute 6.2% of your wages, and your employer matches with another 6.2%. But if you're self-employed, you effectively pay both sides.
That's right.
Yeah, and there's also a wage cap each year, a wage cap. Income above that amount isn't subject to Social Security tax, and it doesn't increase your future benefit. And that's important for high earners to understand.
Yeah. So your eventual Social Security benefit is based off of your 35 highest earning years, and it will be adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
If you work fewer than 35 years, those missing years do count as zeros, and that's important to understand because that brings your average down.
Yeah.
This means that Social Security really rewards consistency and longevity. Longer careers and higher earnings generally lead to higher benefits. But the formula is progressive. It replaces higher percentage of income for lower earners than for higher earners. So this is also why Social Security was never designed to replace your full paycheck.
That's right. It's a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it's just a foundation. For most people, it replaces somewhere between 30 and 40% of pre-retirement income. And then the rest needs to come from your savings, your investments, or other planning strategies.
So let's go through the decades, right? Let's start with folks in their 20s and 30s. If you're in your 20s or early 30s.
Remember, your fingers crossed at this point.
Yeah. Social Security, it probably feels distant. It probably feels like something you don't need to really pay attention to. And that's understandable. Retirement feels far away. You just started working, right? Mm-hmm. And the rules, they seem complicated. But this is actually an important stage because your earnings record, those 35 years you're talking about, it's
Mhm.
just getting started. At this point, the biggest thing that matters is that you're earning reported income. Social Security only counts wages and self-employment income that you pay taxes on. So side gigs, contract work, cash income that isn't reported, that's not going to help your future benefit. Now, let me point out too, this is also a great time to set up your Social Security online account at ssa.gov. We've done that before, and it's actually kind of fun to look at, I think, on a fairly regular basis. Once you do that, you'll be able to see your earnings history and a snapshot of your estimated retirement benefits, so you're not like in the dark.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny when we created our Social Security account online and I logged in and I could see my earnings history from my very first job at
Mhm.
Limited 2.
Oh yeah,
I didn't make a whole lot of money. I was like 16 making minimum wage, but I want to work long enough
to get
that
that out
I
the
get that
record.
out.
Yes,
I don't have any zeros and I get that I think it was maybe $16,000
pitiful.
1 year.
Pitiful.
So, we got to try to get that off my earnings record.
Yeah,
But it's kind of fun to go back and look at. You kind of forget about those things
it's
when you start working early, and that was just a fun job.
I have the same experience though. Early days of me working in TV, I was a TV meteorologist. If you didn't catch that in one of our earlier episodes, the pay was not good at all. And so to be
No.
able to get that off the earnings history
So
in the
no
distant
zeros.
future,
Yeah.
that'll be helpful.
Yeah. So that benefit is based on the assumption that you'll continue earning roughly what you're earning now until retirement. So if you're early in your career, often that makes the estimate look smaller than what you'll actually receive later, but it's still a useful reference point. And the real value of checking your account early is for accuracy. You want to make sure your earnings are being recorded correctly because errors are much easier to fix now than 20,
Yeah.
30 years later, decades later. You don't want to try to get things corrected. At this stage, Social Security shouldn't drive your financial decisions either because you are still so young, but understanding how it works, a very basic understanding, helps you see why saving and investing early is still very important.
Yeah. So let's move on then to our 40s. Your 40s are when Social Security starts to feel a little more real. You've been working for a little while at this point. You've likely built a solid earnings history, and your higher income years are beginning to replace some of those earlier lower paying years in that 35-year calculation. This is also when we start to encourage people to treat Social Security as a baseline variable in their strategy. It's one of the rare income streams built on a framework of government backing and inflation protection, and it's intended to provide a floor of support through retirement. We kind of hit on that a little while ago. It's just one part of the overall retirement puzzle that we help our clients, guide them through. It's still just that one piece though. In your 40s, it's important to align your Social Security expectations with your retirement accounts, your lifestyle goals, and your overall long-term plans.
Yeah. And so this is also a really great time in your life to start running through retirement projections. And we do this often with clients, kind of get a baseline projection and then, revisit it every few years, starting off probably with large number of years, like 5 years in between projections. And then as we move closer to retirement, doing them more closer to annually. But, these projections, they're not exact plans, but they're estimates, and understanding how much Social Security may provide later helps you determine how much you need to save now and save elsewhere in your other accounts. It's also a reminder that every additional year of work doesn't just increase your savings, it can increase your Social Security benefit as well. Because again, that 35-year earnings history is important. So especially if you're earning more than you did earlier in your career.
Yeah. So now you're in your 50s. You're getting, a step closer to that full retirement age. The overall decisions, your Social Security decisions, they start to become much more tangible. They're not too far off in the future. And one of the most important concepts to really understand here is that full retirement age. For most people today, it's between 66 and 67, depending on your exact birth year.
And really, probably for most people, it's going to be 67.
Yeah. Yeah. If you claim Social Security benefits at your full retirement age, you receive 100% of your calculated benefit. Now, you can claim as early as 62, right? But doing so is going to permanently reduce your benefit depending on your full retirement age, that reduction is usually around 25 to 30%.
Yeah. So on the other end of the spectrum, though, if you delay claiming Social Security beyond full retirement age,
Yeah.
your benefit increases by about 8% per year.
Yeah, so a little bonus.
So up until age 70, there is no benefit to delaying claiming Social Security past age 70. But those increases, those enhancements can significantly raise your lifetime income.
Yeah.
So, but you should never begin claiming after age 70. There's no benefit in waiting, and you are just leaving money on the table in the hands of Uncle Sam. Probably don't want to do
Which
that.
he doesn't mind, right?
He doesn't mind, but you don't. You certainly mind. This is why Social Security timing is such an important planning decision. Claiming early gives you income sooner, but at a lower monthly amount. Waiting gives you higher income, but requires other sources to bridge that gap. Neither option is automatically right or wrong. It depends on your health, your work plans, your cash flow, and overall financial picture. And that's something that we help our clients navigate when they are ready to pull the trigger and retire.
Every situation is unique, and we've come across this time and time again. And that's why we really do sit down and look at the whole picture so we can figure out what works best for our clients.
Yeah, but we still see a lot of people who say, well, my friend did this. Just
Again,
because your friend did it doesn't make it the right decision.
a lot of
for you.
guesswork, and the less guesswork you can put into it, the better it's going to be in the long run. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. Talk about some taxes and other rules that apply to Social Security. And one rule that really, I think, catches people off guard is what happens if you claim Social Security early and keep working.
Oh, yeah.
Before you reach full retirement age, Social Security applies what's called an earnings limit. If you earn more than that amount in a given year, some of your benefit may be temporarily withheld. And for 2026, if you're under full retirement age all year, the earnings limit is just shy of $25,000, $24,480. $1 is deducted from benefits for every $2 you earn above that limit. And the word temporary here is pretty important. It's not a penalty per se, and the money isn't gone forever, but it can absolutely impact your short-term cash flow if you're not expecting it.
Right. And this is where expectations matter. A lot of people think I'll take Social Security because it's available to me at 62 and I'll just keep working without realizing that their income is over that limit and their monthly checks are reduced or even paused for a period of time. So that can feel really frustrating because you don't understand why it's happening, but it's really just a timing issue and not a loss of benefit.
Yeah. So depending on your total income in retirement, Social Security can be partially taxable. In fact, up to 85% of your benefit can be included in your taxable income at the federal level. That doesn't mean you lose 85% of your benefit. It just means that that portion may be subject to income tax. Still, it's a big shift from what many people expect.
And what drives taxation is everything else going on in your financial life, your IRA and 401k withdrawals, your pension income, your investment income, even part-time work. Two people can have the same social security benefit and end up with very different tax bills depending on how their other income sources are structured.
Yeah, so that brings us to coordination, okay? And that's the order in which you pull income from your different accounts, tax-deferred, taxable, tax-free accounts. It can directly impact how much of your Social Security ends up actually being taxed. And this is why we spend so much time helping our clients think about Social Security as part of a broader income strategy and not just a standalone decision.
Exactly. And this is even more important for married couples. Social Security offers spousal benefits where a lower earning spouse may be eligible for up to 50% of the higher earning spouse's benefit at full retirement age. And that can be a meaningful income source, especially in households where one person earns significantly more over their career.
Yeah, and then there's survivor benefits, which are often overlooked, but we run across fairly regularly. And they're very important. When one spouse passes away, the surviving spouse may be able to step into the higher of the two benefits. So it's, again, something that needs to be considered when claiming Social Security benefits. The decision for the higher earner doesn't affect just their own retirement. It can very well shape the surviving spouse's income for years or even decades to come.
Exactly. So that's why we always say Social Security is a household decision, not an individual one. Timing, taxes, work plans, longevity all intersect here. When it's done thoughtfully, though, Social Security can provide stability and peace of mind. When it's rushed or misunderstood, it can create some unnecessary stress.
Why don't we talk about the future of Social Security?
Yeah, for all of those of us who are like fingers crossed over here, hope it's around for us.
One question that we come across pretty regularly, especially from younger clients, 20s, 30s, even 40s, will Social Security even be there for me? You hear a lot of this fear kind of.
Well, and you hear about in the news that the Social Security trust is going to be depleted in the coming years too. So it's
there is a lot of fear associated with it. And the honest answer is this: while the system may very well change in the decades to come, it's very unlikely that Social Security will simply disappear. It's too foundational. Too many people rely on it. What is possible, though, over the coming decades are some adjustments to the program. Things like changes to the full retirement age, changes perhaps to how benefits are calculated, or how the system itself is funded.
Yeah. So one thing that I want to point out is that when changes to something like this are made, they're typically very gradual.
Yeah.
They're not going to happen overnight. So, that's something that you can expect, that the changes would affect people who are many years away from retirement, not those who are already retired or about to be retired. So that means that because planning assumptions can evolve over time, you don't need to panic, but you also shouldn't plan as if Social Security will cover everything.
Politicians, they know that if they make changes like this, a lot of people would be upset with them. And so they don't necessarily want to make these changes.
It's going to take some brave politicians to initiate some of these changes, I think. But I do think some changes will come in our lifetime.
Yeah. So some question marks regarding the future of Social Security. That's why we often encourage people, especially in their 20s, 30s, and early 40s, to think of Social Security more as a baseline and not the sole foundation of their retirement plan. If benefits end up being higher than expected, hey,
that's great.
That's
Congrats.
a bonus, right? If they're lower, strong personal savings and a smart financial plan, that's going to help absorb any difference.
Exactly. And the goal isn't to predict the future perfectly. It's to build flexibility into your plan so you're not dependent on any single income source, especially one that could evolve over time.
Yeah. So who knows? Who knows what those changes may be in the future? But if there's one takeaway, from today's episode on Social Security, it's this. No matter your age, the first steps to Social Security awareness are simple. I mentioned it. Create your Social Security account to kind of get an idea on how things are looking for you at this moment. Review your earnings history. Make sure there's nothing that needs to be fixed, right? And understand what your estimated benefit looks like today.
Yeah, and if you're within about 10 years of retirement, Social Security should absolutely be part of a coordinated financial plan. Not a last-minute decision, not a decision made because someone else made that same decision.
Yeah.
Something that we do at Eater Financial Wellness, and we can help you avoid making some of those mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Understand how it fits within your savings, your investments, your taxes, and long-term goals can help you make more confident choices instead of reactive ones. So we hope you enjoyed that little conversation about Social Security. It's not always the most fun topic,
but it's important to talk about, right?
It's important to talk about. And if you have any questions or would like us to help you take a closer look at your financial situation, you can reach us at info@eaterfw.com. That's ITERFW.com.
And we'd love for you to check out our website as well, eaterfw.com.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Good job. Thank you. You're doing my job for me. So I'm just going to wrap things up here and say thank you for listening today. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.
Thank you for listening to the BAMCAM podcast with Jack Burnett and Alison Castellano from Eater Financial Wellness, a financial advisory practice at RFG Advisory. To get in touch with us, visit today's show notes or go to our website at www.eaterfinancialwellness.com. That's ITER financialwellness.com. And please click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available.
Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. Information here may be provided in part by third-party sources. These sources are generally deemed to be reliable. However, neither our guest nor RFG Advisory guarantee the accuracy of third-party sources. The views expressed here are those of our guest. They do not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, its employees, or its clients. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by RFG Advisory or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Securities offered by registered representatives of Private Client Services, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, LLC, RFG Advisory or RFG, a registered investment advisor. Private Client Services and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place. RFG Advisory is an SEC-registered investment advisor. SEC registration does not constitute an endorsement of RFG by the Commission, nor does it indicate that RFG or any associated investment advisory representative has attained a particular level of skill or ability.